Thank you for taking the time to click on Lore. We hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe here and follow us on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/slipperysteve. And we're live.
We're live!
I think we're live. It looks like we're live. The live screen is on.
Okay.
Good morning, folks, and good afternoon to some of you over in the Netherlands.
Is it? Oh, yes, that's me, right.
Hey, so I am Chris, and I am joined by Mr. R.P. Davis, aka Bob, and Mr. Remy, aka Remy Trails. So yeah, we are here to do our first live Q&A on Twitch for Lore. Colby and James are out, and I gotta say, Colby, I think it's all fair to say we're all jealous of you, you castle-loving bastard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Nice.
we got a lot of new things. Obviously, you're looking at it here. We got our Lore Lounge. We'll be doing, I guess, here and there sometimes. I don't know. We got Colby's Halloween one-shot coming up next Sunday. And James's Discworld campaign starting November 1st. And then the following weekend, as long as everybody's in good health, we will be back on track with the Final Horizon.
In space!
And I did check my mic. It is unmuted, so we are good. I see
Oh, that's
lines
good.
moving.
Wow.
What else? Oh yeah, so we got a lot of new things in the channel too, built in. There's a lot of commands you can do in chat if you're a Twitch advocate or whatever you want to call it, familiar with it. There's a lot of commands, and we just programmed
Did you just say Twitch advocate?
I think wrong.
Did you mean
advocate.
user?
Yeah.
Can you take another sip of coffee, for fuck's sake? I mean, granted, it took me a second to register, like, what the fuck is he saying?
It's still really hot, and I'm fighting this damn line again with the light in my face. It's
Delicious coffee.
Good morning, America. So there's a lot of commands now, and there's a whole bunch of different ones that you can do. Like you can gamble, you can challenge friends in chat, and different stuff like that. All of that stuff is down below, but the new ones we got are the cast members of Lore. If you type in !Bob, you get some inside scoops on Bob, and
Wait.
I thought that's what we were doing here.
Yeah.
What do you know?
no, it's just a plug to let them know.
That's
who
it. I'm
we are.
unplugging my webcam.
Yep. No. And same if you hit exclamation point James, exclamation point Colby, exclamation point Remy, exclamation point Chris. I forgot my own name. So yeah, if you do all those things, and I'll do one right now. Rob. And if you guys can see it pop up in this thing, Streamlabs little bot puts it in, lets you know the information and a couple of links. So check them out. Without further ado, I'm gonna hand the helm over to Mr. Remy, and we will kick this thing off.
I had an intro there. Sacre bleu.
I just don't want to. My voice is very monotone. I am aware that I talk people to sleep very well.
I have the super high-tech locking mechanism known as the chair up against the door.
Yeah, so I see.
I have the same exact thing right over here.
I just don't have a fancy green screen to hide my ridiculousness of my life. Or a scary disembodied screaming face. So
my Sam head.
Yeah, that's just creepy, man.
Especially because it looks
Yes.
like a parasitic twin on the cat, so it's just really fucking me up. Like,
well, it's right on his shoulder, so he's like this weird 70s porn star version of Zaphod Beeblebrox.
I'm glad I was born in the 80s.
so we went there. Yeah.
Look, see, I can make him disappear if I just.
That's a
just
thing that
move,
happened.
right?
You just have to tilt in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
So we
Then it comes back, and I'm
Yeah.
frightened all over again.
ah!
he looks away for a second. He looks back. Face. Oh, jeez. So over like the last week or so, across the L.O.R.E social media, we've been asking those of you who have so far been watching and participating, if you had any questions for us at all, questions about us, questions about the game, questions about D&D and tabletop RPGs in general. And we actually heard back from a couple of you, which really, there was only light torture, no Geneva Convention violations going on, a little bit of arm twisting maybe, but we got some responses and we deeply appreciate that. The very first one, Chris.
Yep, getting it.
Comes from Philly Bell on where we got this on the Instagrams is where this came from, if I remember correctly. She wants to know and obviously we're not all here, so we're gonna have to give our opinions, but who do we feel causes the most chaos in the group while we're playing? I want Bob's answer first.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who's
Just
the
put me on
one?
the spot.
Who's the one that will like you create a scenario? The first person that you're like, I know that guy's gonna fuck this up.
It's bound to be Chris.
Well,
It's bound to be. It's bound to be Chris because Oscar is such a. He's not really an instigator. He's
Right.
just so delightfully incompetent that I can throw a challenge, some kind of encounter out there, and Oscar will just wait in hello, and next thing you know, mayhem ensues.
That's fantastic.
So I know every time I pan the camera to Oscar, I better have a backup plan. Because, wow.
I am feeling very targeted at this moment.
It's hysterical, and it's delightful, and I would have it no other way. Because, Bird is just over there, Colby's character, Bird is just over there kind of like his eyes going to start twitching any minute now. Because he likes everything to be like very set. This is what we're doing. And then Oscar comes steaming in with the hashtag white hot incompetence, and everything just goes sideways, and that is the best.
I love that this hashtag white hot, and we're just gonna we gotta do a
Build on
hashtag.
it.
We need a white hat sandwich too.
Oh,
Like, it's just all
that's
got-
good. That's good. That's really good.
I had one of those the other day. I bit into it, and nearly took the roof of my mouth off.
Okay.
You weren't being literal.
I wasn't. Not this time, anyway. All right, OPP. Who do you think causes the most chaos? Do you agree with Bob? Is it you?
Amen, OPP. The most chaos? I would say it's somewhere between. For me, it's somewhere between Oscar and, honestly, I think Sentry sometimes, because he's like that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like he's that quiet.
We made an entire meme out of it.
Yeah, like he's quiet, yet jumps on a lizard like a rodeo clown, and right after it just bit one of our players in half, just rip Merlin, and yeah, I would have to give it to Century a little bit, because as much as I agree with Bob that OPP's Oscar's his banter is just off and runs us into a lot of unwanted shenanigans. Sentry just really pulls some crazy shit, and that's all thanks to James, because man, He's just that quiet guy just sitting back and analyzing something, and then he just waits. It could be 45 minutes we're streaming, and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and we're all just like, what?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I think you're right, Chris. I think Oscar is more reliably
a failure.
He more reliably sends the game sideways. But I've learned to dread when James opens his mouth.
When he shows up, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If he's been quiet for like 20 minutes,
you know something's
there's
coming.
Stuff going around, you know he's cooking up something, and it's just going to be, wait, what?
Yeah.
It almost always involves him telling everybody to sit down and shut up because he needs to concentrate, and that's...
Yeah, and if not fighting a giant lizard, sending some giant spider race out for a search for the Grand Wizard Dijon on the planet Poupon. Like, that's gonna come back and bite us in the ass so hard.
I don't know about bite us in the ass, but it's
bite us somewhere.
It's gonna come back.
Yeah, I guarantee you, it's going to come back.
Okay, well, there we are. Okay, foreshadowing.
Whether or not it's going to bite you in the ass is entirely up to Oscar's incompetence.
Kids, that's what we call dramatic irony. So I would, yeah, I probably would have to agree with both of you. I don't know that I have a dissenting answer in any direction. Elias doesn't really do much with the chaos. He just tries to solve. He just keeps trying to put out the fires, ironically. And Sentry or Bird has a tendency to just stand there with the eye twitch. So yeah, between Oscar and his mouth, and Sentry and his need to just do whatever the fuck he feels like and bring everybody along for the ride, I would say those two are tied for the biggest chaos creators.
But great question. Great question.
I agree.
Yeah,
there's one more though.
Okay.
Great first question.
She also asks, what's everyone's favorite game moment so far? So, Oscar, you can go first this time.
Oh, favorite game moment. Oh my god. Shit.
I don't remember that happening.
Yeah. There was plenty of that. That
was a midstream break, I think,
right.
About a month ago. Yeah.
Okay, favorite game moment. I would have to say, thinking back on the 6 episodes. Alright, just right off the top of my head, I think it would be episode 5 where we made that late in-game transition from basic roleplay and Chaosium into the D&D 5e, where, Bob, you had us transition from the ship, that big, like, oh shit moment, what are we gonna do? And Elias was met head-on with his goddess, the big
patron.
Head? Yeah, the patron. And that was that moment in my head, like, on stream, you see Colby and I both going, like, I mean, it's as if we were looking right at each other. We're going, oh, it's happening! He's getting his patron! Like, yeah, I think that had to be my favorite so far, like, off the top of my head.
So what's been yours so far, Bob?
I'm not gonna. I agree with Chris.
Yeah, he stole mine too.
The look on all of your faces when y'all realized that, oh, the transition is happening now, is it? That was just precious. But I think a really close second was when Oscar first had to impersonate the German captain of the first the starship insanity.
Rupert!
Yeah. And you're like, and Chris, you were just like, oh, I just got used to doing a French accent. Now I have to do German. And it came out this mishmash of, I can't even describe it. Much less, imitate it back to you. But you just kept going. You're just like, I am playing this role. It is mine now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just kept rolling with it. You knew that I'm just going to start applying skill checks to this because, damn, it was awful.
It was really bad.
But like I said, it's that delightful Oscar's delightful incompetence is one of my favorite things in the universe.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
fantastic.
I have to say that the transition. I mean, your reactions to it, because it's not like it was artfully done.
I disagree. Like the scene that you set up, like we get to this floating head planet so that we could drop off these fucking tomatoes, and before we even realized,
the chickens.
And the chickens. I had forgotten the chickens. Sorry, God, that was foul. And then out of nowhere, this fucking this fleet of ships just shows up, and they're gonna lay waste to everything. So we either, we're scrambling, trying to figure out what we're going to do, and we're going to try to be the big damn heroes. And then that was just taken away. I don't know. I feel like it was artfully done. I was impressed with how the whole thing rolled out. And my nose is red this morning, not brown. So that's just, but outside of if I'm taking the question seriously, obviously I would say yes, that transition moment so far has been my favorite. But to look at it from a more humorous perspective, I think one of my favorite, if not my favorite, hijinks moments was when Oscar was trying to help with the ship repairs, and he asked the one creature for his lunch.
Oh yeah,
because he thought that was something that he needed. That was amazing, and they were so confused. And he's like, I need it for the ship, all right? And just leave it alone. Give it to me. Well, okay, yum yum. Well, what was it? It was supposed to be Russian. Yum yum. Yeah.
Thankfully you be.
Good. He's good, yes.
I love your accents, Bob.
They're often bad, and I often forget them because I usually make index cards for my NPCs that has, name, visual description, all the, various sensory descriptions, and then the accent. And I have been really, really remiss about that. So, as soon as I bring back a recurring NPC like Jural, I'm like, wait a minute, what was his accent?
But we're all there to remind you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so far, Jural is the only one that's happened with consistently, and we all remember he's Russian, so...
And the fingers help bring it.
And the fingers help. The fingers do help. It helps with the visual, with the mandibles and everything. So, Chris and I also managed to cultivate a response off of TikTok.
Yes.
And before we got on, we convened to try to make sure that we knew how to say this. And I promise you I'm going to get it wrong. So this is me pre-apologizing for butchering your username.
Don't worry, I fucked it up on a video response to her, so...
well done.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that I listened to you for potential pronunciation advice. So... Azari, the Shadow Demon.
Yes.
Says that they have a more of a truth question for us. They would like to know, what is the most idiotic thing one of your characters has done? Now, unfortunately, this question a little bit excludes Bob, but so that it doesn't, while Chris and I are answering, I'd like you to think back on your player experience and give us the first thing that pops into your mind that's the most idiotic thing one of your characters has ever done.
Got it. Go on.
So, Chris, of the veritable encyclopedic tomes worth of idiotic things that Oscar has found himself in so far.
Yeah, you lost me with big words.
You have a long list to choose from. Can you close your eyes and pick one?
Oscar lives deep inside of me. So does his vocabulary. Excusez. Pardon with the big words.
So of the so far of the last 6 episodes, what's the most idiotic thing you feel that Oscar has done so far?
The most idiotic thing. Wow. Okay. I would have to say. You know what? I'll go this route. It wasn't like a real super funny moment, but it was when he actually got his ass pulled into the interrogation room, and he ran into a woman of his past in his backstory, And rather than kind of like trying to figure out why the hell or how the hell that she just tracked him down so fast, he just instantly went to, I'm sorry, I'm trying to be good, like, let me out of here, I want to get away, like, mommy, like, get me out. Like, that was it. And I think that was, like, as far as idiotic, for sure, was probably one of his dumb moments where if he would have thought a little more, he probably could have worked that scenario a little better.
Yes, but that would have been too meta. I think you played the character perfectly. I would say for Elias so far, it was not paying attention to his proximity to ion engines, which almost led to a debut episodic death.
Yeah, first episode, man.
I was so frustrated. And the irony of the fact that he's a living star to have been burnt to death would have just been idiotic. It would have been idiotic.
It was like this. It was like, ring, ring. Hello? Ionic Cannon here. New character, who this?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you don't know me. You're about to. So, Bob, set this up for us. We need a tiny bit of information about, the adventure of the character and then why what they did was so idiotic. What do you got?
There was a streaming game that I was playing with my good friend Travis Legg on his channel, Plastic Age Plays, on Twitch. We were playing Eberron, and we had just got to like 12th level, and I was playing, your bog standard bard, horny AF, didn't give two shits about anything, would do it all for the lols, and frankly, I was bored as shit. And I wanted to find a way to kill him, that he would just go out in a blaze of glory. So, and you can find all these episodes on his YouTube channel, Plastic Age Plays, and I think it's on the Aegis Studios drive-through RPG store as well. I think they're all free. Just, go and download them as podcasts.
Well, so anyway, I want to clarify really quick, because what I just heard from you was, I was bored as shit. Also, go ahead and watch the game, which doesn't make any sense to me. So you were bored with the character.
Oh, no. I was bored with the character.
Okay.
Yes. The game was fabulous.
Okay.
But I had already explored everything with this character that I had expected to do with that character. And I'm like, it was right around the time when the first big Eberron book came out. And the Artificer... with the Unearthed Arcana.
Can you say that again, by the way?
And I'm like, Artificer?
Thank you. Is that how you say it, Chris?
I say Artificer, but...
And other people say Artificer.
I'm not very reliable on D&D.
I'm with Bob. I think it's Artificer, but there's people put the emphasis on a weird syllable, and I don't understand. So please continue.
It's the epitome.
Yeah, it's it's the epitome of talking about how to pronounce this is the epitome of hyperbole.
Yeah, hyperboles.
God damn it!
So, we knew we'd side rail somewhere.
Yeah, right.
The
rails are easily jumped today. Easily jumped. But no, it's where we were trying to assemble this stuff. That was the campaign arc, was assembling these pieces of the widget that can, cancel the universe. And we never did quite figure out if we were supposed to gather them to protect them, gather them to use them, or what. But anyway, we found one of the pieces by jumping basically into the Xanathar's lair in the Forgotten Realms. Now, to set that up a little bit, the Xanathar is an ancient beholder who, can basically just kill you with a glance, like beholders do. And somehow I was flying, like levitating up this air shaft or access shaft, because beholders are really cool to use because they fly, they levitate, they have a disintegrate I-beam, which means they can carve tunnels that only they can use.
Or so they think.
It's like a chimney, a perfectly smooth chimney, straight up, right? Cylindrical chimney. Somehow I'm up in the thing, because that's what leads to where the widget is, the MacGuffin. And I go up there, I'm all stealthy, I'm like, this is going to be fun. There's the thing. I grab the thing, and Travis says, oh yeah, and by the way, the Xanathar just flew into the room. And I'm holding the thing, I'm like,
oh, hi.
and Travis says, what do you do? I said, I canceled the fly spell. And he's like, you do know it's 300 feet straight down. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's one way to get out of the room.
So I'm like, it's like a Wile E. Coyote movement.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Straight down.
totally get that one.
And yeah, like holding a little sign or a little umbrella. And gone. And yeah, anyway, I almost blew through the bottom of the ship, the airship that was underneath the hole at the bottom of the shaft. But I thought, sure, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. But what a way to go, right? What a way to burn in, to blow a hole through the bottom of an airship, while after having fallen like 300 feet, taking the maximum possible amount of falling damage, which is like 20 d6. But the other members of the party could.
I would like to cast Yeet.
Yeah, right. But no, they cooked up this really cool way to catch me, and they did. So, yeah, the Gurius went on to even more stupid things, trying to die. He wasn't exactly suicidal, but all his fucks were gone by that point. He's just
clearly.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's one of the many stories of stupid shit that characters might have done.
I can appreciate that. So those were, I mean, that exhausts what we got, I believe, from viewers, fans, and other folk in. Would you agree, Chris? Did I miss anything?
No, we're still a baby in the social media aspect, so.
Yeah, and like I said, I essentially pretty much expected that to be the case, at least this time around. But by the next time that we do this, I'm sure we'll have a much greator response.
Yeah, we'll
thousands.
Thousands.
Millions.
So we also, in
1
anticipation
million.
of this, we decided to cook up a few questions of our own. And so I got sent a few by Bob himself. And so here's some fun things for us to talk about. Chris, how long have you been playing TTRPGs altogether?
TTRPGs?
Yeah.
It is, besides basic role-playing, the Chaosium thing that we did for a very brief amount of time. Does Munchkin count? The card game? I don't think so.
Sure.
No. D&D would be it. That would be maybe 4 years, I think. Close to it. Bob, you were, when you lived over here in the States, you were my first legitimate long campaign. And that was like 2 years ago, right?
Well, I've been here 2 years now,
Ooh, so maybe that was 3 years.
2 years on the other
it
side
was
of
3
the
years
plane.
ago. Holy shit,
Yeah,
time flies.
Yeah, no, it was like 2 years. It was like 4 years ago.
2020 just like hasn't
Ish.
even existed, though, in your defense. So
Yeah, right. Where does time go? I would say 4, maybe 5 years now.
okay,
But
cool.
it's been kind of hit or miss because it's really hard to find
Chris,
people to play.
yeah, no, we're aware. That's D&D. Like even with fucking Roll20 and D&D Beyond and like all this shit, it's still so hard to find a consistent group, let alone a consistent group. Like, this is the most consistent game I've played in.
Yeah, me too.
I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
Bob, how long have you been playing tabletop RPGs?
I have dice older than you assholes.
Yeah, waiting for that one.
You don't know the age of my asshole, so let's be clear about that.
I still have the first.
Remy was
set
born backwards,
of-
so his ass was actually technically a little younger.
Nice. Now I still have my first set of Chessex dice that my dad bought for me in 1986.
Your dice are older than me.
So yeah,
All
So
right.
that would put me at 5 years old.
yeah, there you go. So yeah, I have been playing that long, and we did a little bit of original Red Box, so expert set, OD&D, and then we got into AD&D in like '88. Of course, I bought all the books just in time for second edition to come out. Which meant we played first edition for most of. I mean, I did eventually buy the second edition Monster Manual just because it has some cool shit in it, but I never bought the second edition Player's Handbook or anything like that. And,
I mean, in your defense, sometimes those hiccups exist. I didn't even acknowledge the existence of fourth edition.
Oh, I love 4E.
I played 3.5s clear into 5s. Like I never.
It's 3.5, and Mathfinder that I never could really embrace it. I mean, it became so complex. I mean, the ambition of it to try and codify every possible thing that could happen around the table in the rule books was ambitious as hell.
Yeah.
But it makes for a game that just ends up being one long argument.
Well, okay, so I was going to say that, and I'm glad that you did. I started with 3.5 some 14 plus years ago. So because of that being my first experience, that's where I was most comfortable. But
yes.
Now that I've transitioned and I have played just a smidgen of Chaosium, now we're in Spelljammer and we're in the 5th edition. I've done a little bit of Pathfinder. Ultimately, I feel like 3.5 created my least favorite gamer, which is the rules lawyer.
Yeah.
Like the moment...
Trust me, they've been around far longer than that.
That's fair. I try, especially in games that I create, let alone that I'm a part of, to allow for anyone who wants to play. I don't like to gatekeep. I think that that's a vile and evil thing to do, unless we're talking about rules lawyers. They can go and have their own game far, far away from me, where they can just, I think that it's a fun vampire, is where I land with that. So, and that's my way of deftly answering that question while also pontificating. Yeah,
it's I love 4E because I had to take a bit of a break. Life. So there's a couple of years in there that I didn't really do much, and then I saw a thing for the local comic book store was having a Wednesday nights D&D encounters. What the hell is this? No idea. And I turned up and there's a new edition? Geez, I missed that. And so I rolled up a character. It took a little while to grok the new system, but
sure.
I think that 4E is, in my opinion, the most elegantly designed edition. It is just masterfully designed, and
you really think so?
It did everything it needed. It did everything it said it did in the 10. And there are things about 5E that the books just don't cover, and Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins, love them, great guys, but if I have to hear, well, that's for you to figure out at your table one more time.
I don't know. I felt like they attempted to make it too much like, my issue with it is I felt like they were trying to make it too much like a video game. They were trying to make it too easily transferable, and I didn't like that. It just bugged me way too much. Somehow they managed to do what I feel like in 5th edition they managed to do what they were trying to do in 4th, but in like a table-oriented, smart, and usable way. And I felt like 4 right, and I feel like 4 just like I appreciate and respect what they were trying to do, but I feel like they kind of missed the mark. So that's why I tried it. I read the books, and I got offended with the changes that they made. But the really fun thing too for me and my play group is that we sanded 3.5 down for our table and included enough homebrew stuff with enough of an open-minded attitude, again, anti-rules lawyers, that we were able to create a little bit more of an inclusive and fun experience there. But yeah, Colby, I'm glad Colby's not here, because Jesus Christ, would he be Captain 4th edition right now, and like to a level that I could not possibly be okay with. He's in your camp, Bob. He just really enjoyed it a whole lot, and I can understand it. But let
me tell you, and let me give you a little bit as an historian by training. Having observed the reactions to 4E amongst, reactions like yours, Jeremy. I'm not saying that you're wrong for thinking like this. I'm saying there's a very good explanation for it. 3.5 took so much time, effort, and skill to master as a game system. And by that I mean mastery of the process, character building, all the resolution, how everything worked, that the complete left turn that 4th edition took invalidated this monstrous mountain of mastery that y'all had built up. For me, it was easier to accept because I didn't have that. I hadn't gone through that. So coming from 1E, 2E to 4E, after having basically rejected everything after the rules encyclopedia, CD-ROM, I didn't have that problem. So, and at the time, it was only like the last year or so that I really came to understand why this visceral, burning, loathing hatred for 4E came from primarily 3 and 3.5 players. And I think that's why. Because the thing that I rejected about 3rd and 3.5, i.e. the learning curve that's so steep it might as well be a cliff. If you're going to do that, and then suddenly they pull that rug out from under you, you're going to be pissed off.
That makes a lot of sense. And to share my own personal experience a little bit more. Yes, son.
Look what Sophia's going to.
That's really great. Head back out, please. Is that not only did I have that extreme learning curve, but it was like I played my first game for about a month. My first D&D game ever as a player started at 3rd level. I was a gnome rogue with aspirations of becoming an allocator. So I started taking levels in Scion. And I played for about a month, during which time I managed to become a were-tiger. Like, it was madness. And then I DM'd my first game. So I went through like this extreme learning curve. Yeah. And you're right, I never, until this moment, I hadn't identified that that's what got me so frustrated, is like, I put in so much work to master this and then didn't do it effectively at first. Do you never played 3.5? Are you familiar with what their level adjustment looked like?
Oh, yeah. No, while I never played it, I have a stack of the books.
Right, so we didn't fully understand level adjustment. And so because of that, when we played our first monster adventure where we were monsters, which certain books gave you the ability to do, we didn't factor in the level adjustment appropriately, so our characters got woohoo overpowered. And that actually led to one of my most infamous/famous characters that I've ever created, Naruk, which, Bob, you've heard of. Whether or not you remember it is neither here nor there. But he was a Minotaur barbarian with a living hammer. So when you start as a Minotaur, you're a medium-sized creature, but Minotaurs are large. So as you gain those levels, you gain those hit die. He grew to large size, and so did his hammer.
Jeez.
And because he was a barbarian, we got very traditional adventuring sort of things happening where we're completing adventures and getting massive amounts of treasure. So we have other characters who can spend their money on things that they need, armor, weapons, magic items, things like that. But I was a walking wrecking machine. Like I had my hammer. I needed my hammer and a loincloth in order for my other adventurers that I was with to not be upset adventuring with me, and that was it. And then I had these.
Eventually, you get to the point where you're like, I charged the plane of existence.
Exactly, and I had the horns, so I was able to do the charging and goring and all of those sorts of things, and I was having a fucking blast. So I sat back and I went, I've got a shit ton of money and no idea what to do with it. Hey DM, Is there a wizard on this plane of existence I can find who might be able to perform something a little bit outrageous? And they were like, sure, what is it? And so I had a wizard perform a ritual on this Minotaur barbarian to rewrite history, essentially, making him a naturally born lycanthrope.
That's not gonna.
But he wasn't a werewolf. He wasn't a werewolf. There was a supplement called Frostburn that had some really interesting creatures in it, and one of them was a dire polar bear. So once this ritual was completed, which took all of my gold, Naruk was officially so powerful that any combat that he would have been involved in, that he would have gained experience from, would have been so powerful that the rest of the party would have been killed. And any adventure or any combat situation that we would have been in where they would have gained experience and survived, he would not have gotten experience. So he was sent off to train with some of the universal powers that existed on that plane. Essentially, he became so powerful I could no longer play him.
I just thought that we had a little while ago. We had someone in chat who is a new follower, by the way. So thank you, Sheets Junkie.
What's up?
Thank you, Sheets Junkie.
Sheets Junkie.
Yeah.
Like Sheets the.
I think yes.
It's got the.
I know who this is. I know who this is. That's exactly what that is. It's like the Sheets store. Yep.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So the question's already been asked, but they say, what has been your absolute favorite game moment? We did answer that earlier. However, I think if we'll go back around and mention maybe our second favorite moment?
Or do we want to expand it and not just make it this game, but do we have like a moment that sticks out to you as your favorite moment in D&D?
I mean, your own preference, man. Hey, whatever. And then I think after we get around to answering that, it'd be a good time to take our little 7-minute break, and then let the peeps see all the cool content we have on the break, and then
that Chris has been busting his ass to make and is doing a fucking ridiculously awesome job. Listen to me. He's not like, as far as I'm aware, there's no like training. He didn't go to school for this. This is all self-taught shit, and it looks as good as anything I've ever seen on the internet. Like, I am blown away consistently by the work that you do on this channel, and I wanted to take a second to publicly show my gratitude and thank you for that, because we wouldn't have half the quality content. We would have none of the quality content we do if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
Thank you, man.
It's true. It's all true.
Thank you. Humbly put in my place. Thank
Why
you,
don't you answer the question first then, Chris?
Yes, again,
Since you've been silent for quite a while.
Sheets Junkie asked, what has been your absolute favorite game moment? And then follows up in chat, because she heard what you said earlier and said, in any game. So perfect.
So would you like to answer first, Chris?
Sure. I am going to go back to a one-shot that Bob and I played at our home games here, where I played a Kenku bard.
Oh, Lord. Oh, no, you did not!
That could only use his magic by repeating what he heard.
Chris, for those of us who aren't aware, what's a Kenku?
Oh, yeah, so if you're not aware, Kenkus are basically like humanoid crow creatures that there's a lot of lore to them. They're amazing. I love them so much. But I think it's like, something took away their ability to speak, I think was what it was, and they were like essentially like slaves to this other race. Don't quote me, because again, I'm not the guy you want to come to for source on D&D.
But they're like the Tengu warriors from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie from back in the 90s.
Yes. Very great reference, yeah. But my knowledge of that is very minute, because again, I was born 81, so Power Rangers was on the cusp of my high school years, where it was like cool but not cool to like it. So I was like teetering on that line of anyway. So we're battling a owlbear and its cub, and our other players had finally killed the mother, and I was down at the bottom of the
You monsters!
hill fighting the cub that was fucking me up. I had like 3 hit points left, and I heard the owlbear die, so I casted a vicious mockery on the cub by using the sound of his dying mother, and it was just enough to kill the cub. It was one of those like #too soon moments.
Oh, that's
Like,
one of the most horrific things I've ever heard.
I felt
like my feelings are hurt right now.
I
That's
felt
terrible.
it wasn't, it's all theater of the mind, but I like a part of me died inside. But
You did it!
But at the same time, it was like I was
Yeah,
waiting
also,
for that opportunity.
like,
Yeah.
damn. Like, oh, man. Wow.
Very creative use of vicious mockery. That's for damn sure.
A very
Well,
large part of me wishes
You set
that
him
the
up
cub,
for us, Bob.
I wish the cub hadn't actually died. I wish the cub had appeared dead and then came back later to like, as a
Yeah.
full grown. You killed my mother.
That would have been a little more humane.
Maybe a little. Wow.
This was off camera, by the way.
My name is Inigo Albert.
Yeah. You killed my mother. Oh man. I'm gonna commandeer the question at this point because I remembered instantly what I would have to say is probably like there's many moments that I adore, but if I have to pick a favorite, it's the time that I broke Colby as my DM. And we just talked about this, I think, last week during the game, or maybe in the in-between. But it was a one-shot, and we were just planning to do, like, we went into town, and there were people who were, like, disappearing mysteriously at this brothel. And it was a pretty straightforward thing. You go into the place, you search it, you go into the basement, you find the thing that's causing the ruckus, you destroy the thing, and you save the day, right? That's the intention. That's not what happened. I went in and I asked, like, we asked around a little bit to figure out what was going on, and I went, hey, Colby, do we know who owns this place? Yeah. Does he live in town? Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go to his house. Okay. And he had only just like developed this within the last hour, so he didn't have time to think about this shit. So he's coming up with things on the fly. My goal was to buy the brothel from him and then just like leave town. Like, whatever, we solved it. We know what's going on. Now I'm making money off of this and we can move on. And because he hadn't had time to plan for it, he just utterly broke. And he's just, Jeremy, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? What are you trying to do here? It was easily one of my favorite, one of my most proud accomplishments as a gamer.
Just making your DM cry.
Yes.
Nice.
So, do you have one for us, Bob?
I do. The game I was running when we lived on St. Croix, we had a D&D Next had come out, so it wasn't quite 5e yet. So we're playing D&D Next. I'm playing it out in the homebrew world of mine, and there was my wife, our friend, we had 2 or 3 friends who decided, we haven't played in years. Let's roll some shit up and let's have some fun. So, and my friend Alex was playing a druid, but because Alex was born on the island, the druid was basically baked 90% of the time.
Yeah,
And
that's why.
Alex was a teacher. He taught English at the local high school, and his name is Alex O'Neill, but he's from Puerto Rico. Well, his parents are from Puerto Rico, and he was born on St. Croix. So while he can speak like you, the 3 of us can, with no accent or very little accent, when he's amongst his peeps, he can roll about stuff right down the island, and that is how he played Statinder. So I knew he was in character when he would just come up with all this incomprehensible gibberish. And luckily, I'd been living on the island long enough that I understood most of it. And there was one thing that they went out, they did a quest, because I'm a big fan of the out and down type adventure. You go to the dungeon, you clear the dungeon, you come back to town. Well, they'd come back to town. And Cass's character, Deb, and Tibby, the thief, so named because she never chose a name for her rogue, so just wrote TBD for to be determined. So the rogue became known as Tibby. And they had gone to the tavern where there was a bath. They went to the bath, maybe a spa day, right? So they're relaxing in the piping hot bath. And Satinder, Alex's druid, decided
great fucking name.
Yeah, it's something from the player's handbook, I think. No, it was one of the generators. One of the auto generators popped it out, and great name. So he took it, and it stuck because he started going around the town looking for a guy who owed him money. And because he was really, really angry about something, Satinder was, not Alex, he just starts throwing fire every which way. And yelling in this you go out and give my money back to me, man. You gotta give me my money. And it running around the town, kicking people, setting people, buildings. I mean, this is a medieval village. There's thatch and wood, and it's all on fire.
It's generally like the West Coast California, like.
Ooh, too soon. God damn it. Was there actually someone who owed him money, or was he just trying to get people to give him money?
No, there was a guy who actually owed him money, and he couldn't find him because he kept rolling really, really stupid bad on his investigation checks.
If I cannot find you, I'll just burn the whole fucking town.
Yeah, right?
Somebody touching my spaghetti.
Tibby and Dev are in the bath, right, in the spa, just cleaning up. They've been in the woods for a week, and they want to be fastidious and get up their mani-pedis and everything. And next thing they look out the window. Why is it so bright outside? Isn't it like going on midnight? Yeah.
Oh.
The town is on fire.
This town is on fire.
Ah!
Yeah. And this was just Satinder eventually found his money as a big blob of molten mixed silver and gold. After the house that the guy who owed him the money lived in burnt down, and they hot-footed it, pardon the pun, out of that burning town before they got caught. And
and he had to pay all of that money back to the town in damages.
I never made him do that. to my shame and my cost and eternal shame, I never made him do that.
That just set up a perfect story for the fucking tax collector from Robin Hood to just be hunting the party.
It did, yeah. The authorities, not only did they have to skip town, they had to skip rather fast. And they earned themselves some enemies that night.
Oh no shit! All right.
There was that was fun.
That's amazing.
So,
which is the 7th time that a group of players have burned down a village that I very, very put a lot of work into creating.
So the next village strangely looked very, very similar, but just kind of had different names.
This is now Hamburgville. It's not Hamburg, it's Hamburgville.
Oh, that's amazing.
The next one will be Hamburgville Town.
So hey,
Thank you.
We got more questions in chat. We promise we will get to them as soon as we get back. We are going to take a 7-minute break.
So I can corral my zoo.
Corral the family zoo. And we'll be back. Enjoy all the awesome content we have. We've all done our hand in this amazing thing that we're doing here for you guys. So please enjoy. while we dip out for a minute, and we will be right back. Okay?
Incoming transmission.
Name's Bird. I've been dragged through war, did my time in the mines. Hell, I got pulled into sending people to the same fate. So I decided to take my life back. No more giving it away. Yet, I'm serving time for all the mistakes that got made. And not nearly all of them are mine.
Bonjour, it is I, the magnificent Oscar Pierre Pelletier. You look at me like I am a washed-up actor. No, this is all part of my fantastical plan. Does the washed-up actor star in every film on the planet Magawan? No, I may have some, weaknesses. The bogus sugar, making love, gambling. Perhaps I took it a little too far and got myself in trouble on 23. The Golden Hive has nothing on me. This is all part of my magnificent training as a galaxy's best actor. However...
This is your Captain Sentry Zerzo speaking. If you can all stop nebbing around and get your butts in your seats and strap in, we'll go ahead and get this show on the road because, the folks that own the ship are going to notice any minute now that I'm up here trying to take it. So, let me see if I can get this alarm to turn off first. That'll probably help make the trip a whole lot easier for everyone, huh? Okay, everybody strapped in? Good. Time to go. See you, bye.
My name is Elias. I wander in search of the secrets that planets alive and dead hold. The greatest mystery that I work to unravel, why my brothers and sisters slumber while I remain awake. I am a star, wrapped in flesh and wandering.
What is L.O.R.E?
What is L.O.R.E?
What is L.O.R.E?
L.O.R.E is a group of amazing, creative people.
Pure, unbridled shenanigans.
A league of rolling expeditioners
who have come together to play tabletop role-playing games.
Voice actors, theater kids, musicians, pop culture fans, content creators, tabletop nerds alike.
Which, personally, are some of my favorite things to do.
My favorite thing to do.
And pretty early on in the process, we came together and we decided that we were going to share our experiences with you all.
Streaming live play D&D on Twitch.
And anyone else who wants to watch and listen and experience it with us. And to that end, we've all come together and we are all creating amazing things.
Homebrewed from scratch content.
Between art and videos and scripts and just the game that we're playing. And not just one. We have our primary game, The Final Horizon, that is space fantasy.
By R.P. Davis.
But we also have other games that we're working on.
James's Discworld campaign.
So many amazing things that we're going to be producing in the future, and we can't wait.
We can't wait
for you all to join along with us. So, what is L.O.R.E?
What is L.O.R.E?
What is L.O.R.E?
It's amazing people sharing our amazing experiences with more amazing people.
Welcome to your first day as an employee of Halcyon Corporation at our L.O.R.E mining facility at Hadier 4. You must be as excited as us for you to contribute to the most profitable mineral extraction operation in the sector. Halcyon takes pride in the safety of our facilities, with 14 hours since the last injury or death on site. To reinforce safety, do not be alarmed by the presence of armed security personnel. The strikers are here for your protection. It has been 0 hours since the last injury or death on site. Have a good day, and remember, Halcyon is here for you.
Halcyon Corporation is not responsible for the death, injury, or missings of any employee, personnel, or cyborg.
Elias, mysterious man from the sky, running for star of the show.
I swear I will burn every tree down on this planet if you kill our... I don't know why I'm feeling super protective over this Galaki.
Promises to burn down every tree on the planet, but what does he do?
I'm gonna try to sneak out of the ship.
Exactly. Runs like a little bitch.
God damn it!
Potty mouth.
In space, no one can smell you stink, but they can smell your awesome. If they don't smell your awesome, they know they smell loser. Hatchet body spray smells like awesome. If you can't smell like your own awesome, get Hatchet. Hatchet scents run the gamut from awesome to more awesome. Awesome astral punch. Punch your nostrils in the nostrils. Awesome. Mega Moon Doom. Zero gravity. All doom. Awesome. Savage supernova. All the fury of a dying star in your orbit. Awesome. Not enough awesome for you? Well, you're wrong. Think you're as awesome as Hatchet? You're even more wrong. The most wrong. But don't be wrong, be awesome! Hatchet body spray.
In no way, shape, or form does Hatchet body spray assure you that you'll be awesome, more awesome, or the awesomest.
Wait, backwards.
I had the mic on for that too. Yay! We are back. All right. So we, before we get right back into it, I first want to take a thank you to Sheets Junkie for the new follow, Aru Maru WTF as well, which I believe is our friend Azarari. So thank you both for popping in today, and I do want to remind anybody watching at home while we're live, there are commands in chat which allow you to have a lot of fun and build your viewer points and stuff like that. Viewer points, I'm still working on something to be interactive while we're playing, to possibly, like, I don't know, if you have like a shit ton of points and you want to buy somebody like inspiration or something like that, maybe. I don't know. But
I love that idea. That is so much fun.
Thank you.
So they can essentially donate their points, and that could potentially impact what's happening in our game.
It would have to be a lot of points, because I don't want to. The last thing I want to do is side rail Bob and all the work that he's doing. So
it's the first thing that I want to do. Why are we not on the same page here?
But you can also buy bits. Bits are definitely a high motivator for us. And there's the donate button. You can donate directly to our PayPal and help us create more content on other social media platforms. But yeah, if you hit the exclamation point on any of our first names, that's Remy, Chris, Colby, James, or Bob, it'll pull up the information directly into chat and allow you to see a little bit more about them. We are on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We have podcasts now, thanks to Remy, who's doing
episode 2 just went up yesterday.
An amazing job handling that. And everything you can, all of this stuff, you can go to one link, and that is our link tree, which I believe is the link tree, whatever you do, / L.O.R.E Live Play, I believe, or L.O.R.E Live Play Keepers, I think it is. I forget. Anyway, I will shut up and we will get back to it.
It's linkt.ree / L.O.R.E Live Play.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Our marketing manager, everybody. And let's see. Our last question came from Arumaru, which says, what was the most beautiful place your characters have visited? That is a fantastic question. So, Remy, I'll leave that one for you to start.
Okay. Specific to this game, I'm going to be a little biased. The floating head. I think that planet, the goddess head, was easily just the way that it all played. It like the way it was described and the way it played in my mind was far and away the most beautiful place that we've been so far. I tried to corral my zoo, by the way, and I was extremely unsuccessful, which is why I don't own a zoo. I will not be accepting criticism at this time. I do not answer to Joe Exotic.
So I'm really enjoying though the one of the handlers just came in.
Yeah, she's the paid help.
Wow, that was masterful.
It really was. I agree. She's gonna get some major kudos, and maybe a little bonus for that action. So yeah, the goddess head, and I say I'm a little biased because that plays directly into my character's story arc. But ultimately, just the way that it was described and the way that I saw it in my head was just incredible.
Yeah, it really was.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we'll go from bottom to top. So I'll go. The most beautiful place, off the top of my head, I would have to go back to a campaign I played a long time ago. It was the first half campaign that, adulting happened midway through, unfortunately. And a friend of mine by the name of David Fox, it was his first time DMing ever. And we were all inspired by Force Grey and then realizing there was a thing called Critical Role. So we were like, let's do this. And he had this campaign that he built off of what are they called? The PC games, MMORPG, one of this old one that he's been playing, and he kind of built it off of that. And we teleported into this realm, or not a realm, but a place in his world, and it was this port city, but it was all like clockwork and gold. Everything was gold, and the way the theater of the mind, like painted the scene, just literally like put your mind, body, and soul into that atmosphere where he described the bridge, the building sitting over the water that we ported from the docks. Everything down to the stone roads and stuff like that. Like, his details were just brilliant, and like I spent half the game just sitting there going like like, this is amazing. Like, I just wanted to explore, and yeah, so that would be my answer. Bob.
So it's my turn now. All right, I gotta think. I don't get the chance to actually play all that much.
The curse of being a DM.
Yeah, right. For DM.
Thank you for rescuing me for that, by the way.
Okay. I have to go back to my friend Travis's campaign, the Eberron campaign, when he first, the very first session, he painted such a noir picture in Sharn, the city of Sharn in Eberron, that it was just like, you could almost smell the rain, the hot cobbles. The way he described it was just fantastic. And he, as I understand it, he did a lot of seats of the pantsing with us in terms of the descriptions and all that, and he was just so good at bringing all the senses into his descriptions that I'm sure if I had said something like, I licked the wall, he would have come up with this really elegant description of what the wall tasted like, you know.
The schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
Yeah, but I mean, it's in beauty qua beauty. I mean, Sharn is not a beautiful place, except in very narrow circumstances. I know this from reading the lore, but the way he made it work, the way he made it work in that very, you know, it's night, it's raining, and the city never sleeps type thing. It was just absolutely stunning. And I just sat there kind of like, and yeah, until the guy got shot with a crossbow right in front of us, and we had to save him. But you know, that's the thing that launched us into the entire campaign. So it's like the opening scene of that campaign was just deliciously done.
Where do you guys find these people? Travis Legg and Fox, and like, are these real human beings? Like, Jesus, these names.
They are real human beings. Legg is spelled Legge. He's out of Chicago, I think Rockford, Illinois. You can look him up.
I mean, you essentially just doxed him, so anybody can.
Oh yeah, tons of stuff on DM's Guild. He's been, but he was a filmmaker before he wised up and got out of that business. And he's been a writer for years. And yeah, he's just an all-around great guy. He does a lot of work now with Scarred Lands and Onyx Path Publishing. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, and as far as my friend David Fox, he was a coworker. We were working in dense supply. I can't remember how you pronounce it, but we blended powders together and then shipped them to the next phase where they would go on and make fake teeth for dentures for people. We were talking, and I was trying to get him into Neverwinter because I've been obsessed with that for the longest time. And he's like, "You do know that's based off of D&D, right?" I'm like, "What's D&D?" And he's like, "You don't know what D&D is?" He's
but
like,
you want to play Neverwinter?
Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm like, "Oh yeah. I mean, I think I saw like the name on the game before. I don't know." And then he's like, "You have to look up Force Grey," and looked up Force Grey with Matt Mercer. It was amazing. And then I was like, I need more of this man. And which I'm sure most ladies have said before. Wish they would say me. But anyway, then discovered Critical Role. And then my friend, I can't think of his name right now. Kyle Brodigan. We were best friends, and I was like, hey, dude, playing this Neverwinter thing, and so got him into that. And then when David got me into the watching D&D on stream, I said something to Kyle, and I was like, yo, check this out. And he's just like, oh my god, this is amazing, why didn't we know about this earlier? And mind you, we're in our 30s, and so I was just like, hey, what? I was like, why don't you send a friend request to him, and then the three of us, we should start talking about maybe doing this, try it. And David was like, I've never DM'd before, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'd love to play, so I guess I'll try it. And he spent hours upon hours every night for like 2 weeks, and then lo and behold, we had ourselves a little like intro campaign, just Kyle and I playing. It was a disaster at first because we didn't know what we were doing, and then David got his wife and her daughter, and then eventually their daughter's husband came into it, and we had a campaign in it. It was amazing.
That's fantastic. I definitely resonate with the hours upon hours, especially. It's funny when we were talking earlier about like my first DM experience with 3.5, and that's it. Like when I would go to plan out things, then my then partner knew she wasn't going to see me for 8+ hours because I was going to be poring over books and drawing maps and like doing the whole thing. And now I can plan the first session of an adventure in 10 minutes. I don't need like any of. I mean, it may not be as detailed or whatever, but it damn near close. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing those stories. I appreciate that. Did we have any other questions from the viewers? Yeah. Excellent. Yes.
Yeah, we have another one from Sheets Junkie. The question is, me.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
Have any of you had any experiences with any other types of online RPGs?
It says ARG, but I'm assuming RPGs. Or ARGs. I don't know.
Have you, Chris?
Online experience with I'm gonna assume it's like TTRPGs or stuff like that.
I'd say I'd open it up, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, besides video game RPGs and MMORPGs, my TTRPG experience would. I do actually. I was a player called Treble. He was a homebrewed half gnome, half tabaxi, 3 foot tall bard. Of course, fucking bard. And it was for a campaign on stream called Horsemen of the Apocalypse, which then went on to change their actual stream name to Total Tabletop. And that was my first streaming and also online TTRPG experience. So that it was a learning experience. It was fun.
Yep. I've not done a whole lot with other TTRPGs. Like I said earlier, I've played in Pathfinder a little bit. I've always wanted to get involved in like Vampire the Masquerade, the werewolf offshoot of that. Like I've looked into a lot of different ones, but finding a group to be able to do those has been a challenge. So most of my experience in the TTRPG space has just been D&D. This is my first foray into Spelljammer. I hadn't done the other system, Chaosium system, before. So I guess that counts because we played like 2 sessions with me, 2.5 sessions with me there. I've never really done any MMORPGs. I had a lot of difficulty wrapping my brain around the idea of paying for a game and then continuing to pay for it every single month. So I stayed away from WoW. I've done a lot of console RPGs. I've played a couple versions of Final Fantasy. I've played Elder Scrolls V is far and away my favorite game of all time. And I am extremely saddened by the recent developments with Bethesda. As a PlayStation fanboy, the idea that I will have to purchase a Microsoft run or switch over to PC gaming, which is going to be a challenge for me.
Come to the dark side.
To be able to, I mean, if there's going to be something that's going to shove me violently into PC gaming, it's going to be the fact that I need access to Elder Scrolls 6. Because I'm not buying an Xbox.
I will be there with you, my friend.
So, but yeah, so I've spent an egregious number of hours within the lands of Tamriel. But yeah, outside of that, it's all been D&D for the most part.
Cool. And I just want to point out, Sheets Chunky chimed in and said it was ARG alternate reality games. So if that changes anything, I don't know. So
I feel like our answers are still valid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing.
Bob, regale us with your storied history in this area.
Oh, Jesus. You want the whole list or just the top 10?
I mean, give us the 30,000 foot overview.
Just the tip. Nice. Keep it classy.
We have to get there first.
I mean, look at that. The mustache. How can you... Anyway. Yeah, D&D. Played them all. Didn't like 3.5. We established that. Played Pathfinder. First edition, not second edition yet, though I've read second edition, and there's things in it I like. I don't really like it enough to want to take the time to really play it. Twilight 2000, I played that when it came out.
Please tell me that's not based in Stephanie Meyer's world.
No. Twilight 2000 is post World War III.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, you're basically soldiers stuck in a blasted out Europe, after World War III happens, and it's a fun game. That apparently Free League is going to reboot it, so can't wait to see what that's about. Fantasy games, we've done Middle-earth role-playing, The One Ring, and Adventures in Middle-earth, which is basically Middle-earth 5e. So that's counts awesome. The rings out of the way. Worked a little bit on The One Ring second edition. Before that, had a kerfuffle in terms of who the IP holders were. What are the games I played? Coriolis is a great game. Coriolis is a space sci-fi thing, like a much more intricate and detailed system than we were using to start with the Final Horizon. But still a great system. There's a quick start for that on the Free League website, a free PDF quick start, which is give you an idea of what the game is about. The book is like that big. The core book is a massive tome, but that's a fun game. Played some Vampire back in the day. Hated every moment of it.
I knew he was going to say that.
For me though, I was unlucky with the people that I knew who were playing it, because they were a bunch of pretentious twerps. The system itself, the White Wolf system, is really, really good. So, crap, there's a whole GURPS, Rifts, BRP, of course, because BRP is basically Call of Cthulhu, which I've also really enjoyed, and RuneQuest. That's, so it's all the same basic system. If you played one, you'll know how to get through the others. Crikey. And there's a ton of stuff. Oh, the Black Hack. That's one of my favorites now. If you're into the whole old school thing and you want to go back to you want a few elements of 5th edition in your old school D&D with some really cool, funny, goofy 80s, like the Holy Diver video from Dio. That's your game.
Have you ever dabbled in the Burning Wheel world?
I have not. I have not.
I came across those books, and I'm in this horrible conundrum with these, and I actually just spoke with somebody, I want to say through the L.O.R.E Instagram about this like a week or so ago. Is like I found them in a pawn shop. And I paid like $1.50 for both books. It was a steal. These things are hand numbered.
Okay.
And they're not worth tremendous amounts of money, but they're in extremely good condition, and they're just these little paperback books. And I really want to play because it's so character driven, to the point where
right now.
To the point where, like, in the rules, they say, like, if you say that your character is obsessed about bows, right, and you're getting bonuses for that, but your character's not frequently finding a way to fit bow conversation into, like, every conversation, then the game master should be docking you points. Like, it's a suggestion that they've made. It's so character driven. And I've wanted to look for a free or a paid for PDF version of the books so that I could just keep them in the condition they're in. And I've been wholly unsuccessful in finding it, but there's a whole website that's set up. It came from over on your side of the world, Bob.
Okay.
And there's a website set up where people can put in the number of the series that they have of the books, so that the game creators can track how, like, the reach of the game.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought it was super cool, and it allows you to be a part of this, like, whole grouping of individuals. But I've never had the opportunity to play the game because I don't want to damage my fucking books.
Yeah, I'm looking at the burningwheel.com. Oh, these are the people who do Mouse Guard and Dungeon World.
Oh, okay.
Both of which are fabulous games.
Okay.
Torchbearer is another one of their titles I've heard good things about, but I haven't actually experienced it. And I'm not finding a PDF for Burning Wheel.
Yeah, I haven't been able to.
Yeah, you might want to reach out to them.
Why have I never thought of that?
so check it out. First, segueing, huh? Were you not? I'm so sorry.
There are so many games. I have shelves full of games. I have a hard drive full of PDFs, some of which I haven't played because I believe very strongly as a game writer and a game designer that the more games you assimilate, the more games you play, the more games you master, the better designer you're going to be, or GM. Right? If you want to be a good D&D 5e GM, go out and run games from other systems. See how they resolve things. See how they run some Fate. Fate Core is such a wonderful system to GM. I mean, it's diceless. So, I mean, you're just making things up. Sometimes there's a couple of dice mechanic things, but most of it's diceless. You're just, these are things that make you a better player. They make you a better GM. And if you decide to make the transition into monetizing your creations, or even just putting stuff out there for other people to enjoy, you really should assemble as many different games as you possibly can, as you can possibly afford to do it. I mean, because it's a sizable fraction of my income, I can write it all off on my taxes, which is handy. But yeah, if some new cool game comes out, I'm like, give me, and I'll figure it out later. But yeah, I have more games on my shelf that I've never played, but I've read. Like Quest is one I desperately want to play. Quest is a really cool looking game, and if you don't have it, you should go and get it. It's like 5e, but better. Open Legend is something that I really also want to dig into because they have this cool mechanic called exploding dice. Like if you roll the maximum on a die, you roll that die again and add it to the previous result. It's just killer. Anyway,
awesome.
Yeah, there are so many different games I'd love to play. I could play games, you know, all my entire waking hours and never play all of them. So, but I can read a lot.
It's awesome.
Okay, now I'm done.
Okay.
So all right. So chat, if you want to try this out, this is a perfect opportunity. Hit exclamation point Bob, and you can actually go directly to his links. Not only his Bob the Voice page as a voice actor, but also his RP Kabouter. Am I getting that right? Kabouter Games?
Kabouter Games, yes.
Yep. His link for all his content that he creates through what is that? The DM's Guild?
No, there is a page that has some of my DM's Guild stuff on it, but Kabouter Games is basically my blog, and you can purchase my non-D&D 5e.
Yeah.
There's some D&D 5e OGL stuff out there, but most of it is my own game and setting, Toxandria.
Yes.
And, but yeah, you can. There's links to some of my DM's Guild stuff there.
Why in the sweet baby giggle fuck are we not playing our game in your setting?
We talked about this back in the beginning.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
well,
right.
there's definitely plans for the future.
Yeah. Ooh, machinations.
To do this because I really want to get into some.
I'm working on a new setting now, so
yeah.
Okay.
So with that being said, type in exclamation point BOB, and also want to thank the chat for sticking around and being awesome. We do have another question. Arumaru asks, what is the most provocative situation your character has been in? And we'll go ahead and start at the bottom with Remy.
Provocative? I mean, are they asking for this game, or where do we want to focus this?
Just go in general. I think that would be fair, because really, Elias hasn't had a lot of time to be provocative.
I don't think I've been terribly provocative, provocative.
Yeah.
In this campaign, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm trying to interpret the word provocative as well. Like, what are we provocating, and where is that?
Let's keep it PG-13-ish.
Provocating?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, provoke, maybe?
Listen, we were just talking earlier about how some folks put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, and here we are.
So,
yes. So what? Jeez. I gotta think about this for a second. I tend to provoke my DM and my other player, like the other players in my group, more than I provoke anybody in game. Oh man. I think I think I have to go that way because like I don't intentionally. I try my best not to be an intentional disruptor, you know, like that little crouch goblin. But we. But at the same time, it's just naturally how most of my characters end up being. And so there was one adventure where I was playing a character named Dario, another very infamous and simultaneously hated and beloved character that I've created. A fighter who uses a flail, who completely refuses to acknowledge that magic is a real thing. So much so that when he is faced with the inevitable truth that magic does exist in the world, that he decides that it's just inappropriate, and so much of his being goes into trying to extinguish magic that his flail turns into a lantern that, like the end of the flail eventually turns into a lantern that opens up and emits an anti-magic aura. And this all just comes from like who he is, right? So in order to try to move, another one just popped up in my head, so it's going to be a two-parter. I apologize. In order to try to move the adventure forward, to move the game session forward, one of my favorite things to do with him is just like, oh, is there like an opening? I'm just going to walk into it. Oh, is this like an air shaft that just goes into somewhere that we have no idea? I'm diving in. Let's see what happens. We need to move this shit along. So I had a tendency to provoke my other players into action, right, by doing that sort of thing. Also, to touch back on, Bob, you had said earlier that with your bard, you had gotten super bored with him. I found myself extremely bored in a situation quite frequently with a character who had DID. He had completely different voices depending on what was happening inside of his own head. Most of the time he was just a muttering, sputtering mess, but the moment that combat would happen, he'd go into this other place in his mind and he was cool, calm, and collected and ready to go. The problem was, he was a gunslinger, and thank you, Roland, and frequently became bored with like conversations. So somebody would be in the middle of talking and I would roll an attack because I just got tired of sitting there, so I would just shoot someone.
Wow.
It wasn't polite. And I recognize that now, and I realize that's probably the most disruptive I've ever been as a player. But yeah, I needed things to be rolling along, so I would just fire my gun at someone and kick some combat off.
Nice. Bob, did you want to take the next one, that one?
Yeah, let me think, because another bard. This one didn't last long. This was I forget what the module was, but it was it was from Tales of the Yawning Portal. It was a 5e game, and I think it was like 5th level, something like that. Well, I turned up with a bard because why not? Like Remy, I use my bards to provoke people into doing things. First room, right? We just sat down, got our dice out, slapped down our character sheets, and first room, there's a beautiful DM's just a beautiful young woman, and she's sitting there crying. I got this. Bard goes over, how you doing? Starts doing this thing, and the gems were. It's weird in that D&D sort of 240-something dudes role-playing through a flirtation, and I'm like, all right, we're getting along fine here. I said, I pulled her into a close embrace and I kissed her, and he goes, really? I said, yeah. He said, make a Constitution saving throw. Because she was a succubus. my bard was instantly slain.
He was ready for that shit.
First room, one die roll. That it wouldn't have mattered if he had passed the Constitution saving throw. You took that much damage from the freaking succubus kiss and just poof, dead. And everyone's around the table like, oh my god, oh. And I'm laughing because I started playing this game when you would show up this shit with a stack of character sheets because somebody's gonna die. I've never been precious about my characters, even when I'm really in love with them. But yeah, So, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, croak.
Yeah. So if that's the kind of provocative you're looking for, there you go.
Wow.
So, Chris, your turn.
Yeah, you can see him thinking.
Yeah. I had, this is kind of a two-parter as well, but I'll keep it super short. Definitely hopping on the bard train, because obviously if you're a musician or an entertainer of any type in this world, god damn it if you're not being a bard at least once in a campaign. So it was your home campaign that we did here at my house ages ago. Where Milo. I played Milo, and we were at a fancy dress party, and there was this rogue chick that you had, and Milo was trying so hard and rolling so low.
So badly.
Yeah, and my charisma was like
badly.
Up there, and it was just 1, 2, 1, like spitting game. Like I don't have a reference, but it was just really sad, super sad moment.
It was sad because you were using such great lines.
Yeah, they were like real bad one-liners.
Yeah,
smart landing.
Yeah.
No, and the chronic halitosis, as I recall, there was we were trying to explain away why you were failing so badly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we attributed it to bad breath. I have this vague memory.
It was probably bad breath, but
you're like, hi, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, like, are those galaxy pants because your body is out of this world or something? But to go back there was one where I played a cleric that had the light cantrip where he touches something and casts like flashing light, and we managed to get our way out of a situation. We had just broken out of jail or something, and all we had was our underwear. And my dragonborn friend, we were in an encounter that was about to happen, and I just touched his underwear and lit him up like disco pants. And then he rolled successfully by starting the dance, and then we were just half naked sexy dancing in front of these guys, and they were just like, what's going on? And then we just left. So this is provocative as it gets.
That's one way to avoid a fight.
Arumaru says, "Oh yeah, that's the story I came for." So one of you hit it on the park. One of you nailed it.
Nice.
That's.
I think it was Sparkle Pants.
I bet it was.
Oh no, I think that was actually it was. To be honest, I'd love to take credit for that, but it was in there before that story happened. So.
Okay.
All right, and my vote it was succubus.
Probably.
That's what it was.
Suck your life out of your bust.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I actually played in that monster adventure I mentioned earlier with Naruk. One of my other party members was an incubus, and he had daggers made of alchemical silver that screamed when he threw them, which was just crazy. But the DM was his brother, so he was being a particular prick about allowing him to eat the way that he needed to, because he's an incubus. And so we spent an entire game session around the table while he attempted to pick the lock of a chastity belt on his intended victim. And just when he finally got it, he ended up making a necklace out of it because it just took that much effort and time that it completely derailed the adventure for the entire night. It was ridiculous.
I got a dad pun for you. What what do you call this? Just came off the top of my head, so this is why it's going to be super bad. What do you call a loxodon succubus? Snuffle. No wait, succupagus. I'm cringing at it. My bad. We'll edit that out.
It's some work, but
don't you dare.
Yeah, don't you dare edit that out.
I'll be back later.
Oh man. Oh,
it's bad when you fuck up your own really bad jokes.
It's okay, Chris. We're here for it. I appreciate the effort. At least we only spent a little bit of time bantering over sandwiches and condiments this session. I know that there's going to be a lot more of that happening later.
Sandwiches.
For the rest of this adventure, most likely. If I'm not mistaken, we don't have a ton more time. Do you guys want to get to one of the other questions that we had written amongst ourselves?
Oh,
or do you have any more in the chat?
Yeah, you guys want to do some rapid fire?
Oh, gosh.
If there's enough left?
There certainly are. What of the settings that you have played, what are your favorites, Chris?
Of the settings?
Yeah, so we have D&D 5e. We have I know you haven't played many, but do you have a favorite among the ones that you've played?
Yeah, I mean,
settings means like Forgotten Realms or Ravenloft or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No, what did I say? 5e. What's wrong?
Well, that was going to be my answer because my brain went into Oscar mode.
Yeah.
Settings. I would. We're brand new to Spelljammer, at least for me. And I would say this is already my favorite one episode in, just because we wanted sci-fi. We started with this amazing kind of, I can't think of the references, but space sci-fi craziness, and then we transitioned into Spelljammer 5e, and just the thought of how we're going to be role-playing in character and how Bob's going to bring us through all this craziness excites me beyond belief, because I don't think this is being done anywhere else, where we're playing in characters from a whole different thing as humans, for the most part, the majority of us, and walking into this world of Spelljammer. I think this is going to be amazing.
There are other Spelljammer games out there in the streaming game space, but I know nothing about how their campaigns began or are taking place, so I can't claim any kind of exclusivity to the idea.
Yeah.
But oh dear.
Back with a bang. Yeah.
I think it's my choice of setting is pretty easy. Spelljammer. It has been since the first box set came out in the 80s. It's just I've always loved it. Close second is Mask of the Red Death.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that before.
Mask of the Red Death is basically Gothic Earth. It's kind of like D&D's answer to Call of Cthulhu back in the day, and I had the good fortune of being on a reboot team for that for 5e, and it's just a very cool setting. Whatever setting I'm working on creating at the time is the one that's my favorite at that time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's good, having the passion for that, I honestly haven't played in that many settings. Most of the time it's just completely original, whatever the Dungeon Master is coming up with, either on the fly or just before the session. So, and that's probably why my brain immediately went to version, not setting. So I really haven't been in many of them. So to pick a favorite, I guess I'm going to go with Spelljammer so far, because I've been having a freaking blast. No pun intended.
Hashtag White Hat Love.
Hashtag White Hot Love. I as I said it, I cringed.
It's on the corner of the screen.
And then, yeah. So Bob, I have a couple of targeted questions for you, and
sure.
If you can, what I'd like to have you do is just don't give it too much thought. Just first thing that comes to mind, just fire it off. Okay.
Apple butter.
What is the most mind-blowing player action you've ever encountered as a dungeon master?
Mind-blowing player action.
Yeah.
There was, as a dungeon master, I wasn't really involved in the session. I wasn't DMing it. I was just kind of watching over the shoulder of the DM. But there was a session where there was a dragon in an ice cave, and there was a hole through which the party could peer down at the dragon in the ice cave. And rather than confront the dragon, they cast some spell. It's a 5e spell, the name of which escapes me, on one of the pack horses, essentially turning it into a devourable landmine, and then kicked it through the hole.
Okay.
It fell many feet, went splorp, and the dragon went, that's yummy, ate it up, and then went kaplow.
That's brilliant.
Amazing.
Oh, man. I love it. What inspired you to play D&D?
Better than my real life.
Great answer.
Fucking great. I mean, touche.
At the time I was a pimply, barely into my teens. So yeah.
I'm just gonna put this on and then take this off for you.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm happy with that answer. What does lore mean to you?
What does lore mean to me?
Yeah.
Legends of Red everything. No. Hashtag. No, the game itself and the group of us is I don't want to miss it. Every time Sunday rolls around, I'm like, and I'm just ready to roll again, because you guys are a great gang to roll dice with and create stories with, and I'm just it means quite a lot to me.
No, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I actually had a couple of questions that were targeted at me as well.
Yay!
With the time winding down the way that it is, you're going to get some brutal honesty. So the first question was, what is my favorite or most dear part about Elias and his backstory? I think my favorite thing about him is, frankly, how ambiguous his backstory is, and how and what that means for what he can be in the future. I have left it relatively open because I'm curious to see where I can continue to fill it in based on the information that Bob creates for him. So it's I've created him as a star, right? And all of his siblings, all of the other stars are sleeping, and he's the only one who's awake. He doesn't know why, and we're trying to figure that out. And I feel like through that, we're going to find out a lot more about the character, and I'm going to find out a lot more about him as we continue. My favorite thing, and so both of those parts are answered kind of in one. My favorite Final Horizon moment so far, oh my god, I feel like we've talked about that really extensively. So I'm just gonna kind of glide right past it. And as far as the craziest thing that I've ever done, I would have to spend a lot of time thinking about that. The craziest thing that I've done as a player in D&D, because I have a tendency to bring the heat in that regard. I really try to push the envelope with ridiculousness. And again, not to be intentionally disruptive, it's just an opportunity to do ridiculous shit and get away with it. So the two that I talk about most frequently that come to mind are in one shot that I played. Apparently it did come out of something pre-written. There was this tavern that we went into that had like a well, and you could pay 10 gold pieces and be lowered down. And I was a barbarian, and I asked, I was a Goliath barbarian, and through some of that fuckery, I was able to through like a short rest, I was able to heal. Because what I did was I looked at that 10 gold pieces and said, fuck you, and then jumped down the hole. And I survived, and then I did a short rest, and I didn't lose any hit points, and it was beautiful. The only other thing that I could think of was I was playing a gnome who, I was actually playing in this game with Colby, and the gnome's name was Senor Nueve Dedos. And they had invented a gun called the Blunderbuss in this universe, and I was doing a demonstration, and the gun went off. and it caused complete chaos. And he and I dove under a table and got out of the tavern just in time for the guard to show up to come looking for us because we just set off an explosion in the tavern. And then I ran for the wall to get out of town and decided I was going to climb up on the roof of the house that was closest to the wall. Jean-Claude Van Damme run and jump off, do a 180-degree spin, and fire the blunderbuss again so that the kickback would send me over the wall. I rolled poorly. And instead of arcing over the wall, he ran, jumped, turned, fired the gun, and went right against the wall. And just fell and just fell down. Those are the craziest things that I can think of off the top of my head. But I'm sure that there's others.
Those are great, dude.
Thank you.
That is great.
Mr. Nine Toes. So that's what we have for those. And I had... Actually, I think that might be the questions that we have.
Okay.
I think that does it.
All right, cool. All right, we will wrap it up then. And guys and gals, thank you so much for tuning in live. This actually turned out to be a lot better than I personally expected. So thank you so much for dropping the follows, for all the great questions and comments in chat. Don't forget, we have a just to sum it up, a link tree. I believe it is down below on our page if you're watching on Twitch TV. And also, Remy, if you can real quick, just plug our friend Jay and her.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's still going on.
Yeah, it definitely is. So we have a link to a GoFundMe for a dear friend. Her name is Jay. Her father became unexpectedly ill several months ago. He was running the family business and then has been in hospital for over 6 months at this point, and the medical bills are becoming staggering. So they're asking if you're able to donate anything to hit up the GoFundMe. Any little bit will go an extremely long way. So consider helping them out. It would be deeply appreciated.
Yeah, and we're here to help out where we can. So if you want to help out and you think you can, the link is down below on our About page. You can go right to the charity event. It will take you right to her GoFundMe page. So without further ado, I want to end this so Bob can get off to what he needs to do and Remy can take care of his zoo. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Remy, for being here. This was a bucket list for me. This was amazing. I had such a blast, and I hope we get to do this again. So to all of you watching or listening, we love you very much. Be good to each other. Be awesome and fight hate with love. Love you.